Yes, please. Okay, we're off. So today is the 4th of February 2020, and this is the first week that we've met in term 1 for EDU 105/405. Now, allow me, Jacob, to just go through a few bunch of things, and then, when I pause, then please feel free to come in with as many questions as you can. There's no such thing as a silly question. Make sure you ask. Now, although we're talking now about 105/405, I do want to mention EDU 100 and EDU 400, which is the no credit point, no fee thing you had to enroll in term 1. Now, that's educational mandatory requirements. I would really beg you all to give that your focus now, because some of the subjects, like mine, are having a bit of a staggered start as we get ourselves on the road. But don't waste time. Get into EDU 101/401, where there are no lectures, but there's just mandatory stuff you've got to produce, questionnaires to answer. So read the material carefully, answer the questions when you're ready to. EDU 101/401, the foundations. Now, I'm well aware that I haven't set up a Zoom with any of the students for that yet, but I hope to very soon. I might be able to start work on that tomorrow. I'm not sure. There's readings to be go on with, and just work your way through those. Don't stress about them. Make sure you read my post that I put up there. But you can be doing the readings, but don't stress about anything else. Now, I want to talk about our educational style of work. This is different from what you might have expected, and what your mates might say about uni or college. We in education have a pretty unique approach to work. Number one, students are responsible for their own learning. Now, you'll have probably heard that at school, but we really want to model it here, that we, the lecturers, are not going to be dictating what you learn when. We want you to be dictating what you learn and when. One of the reasons I say that is that everybody's got a different learning style. Everybody's got different home circumstances. And in the masters, certainly, many of them are career changers. They've got families of 6 or whatever, and they're juggling all sorts of things. And for me to say, I want you to sit in this week-long session and do this together in lockstep with everyone else is a little bit tedious and isn't going to work for some. So please be responsible for your own learning, and don't expect anybody to be necessarily helping you, reminding you, although they will. But the onus is on you to be the master of your own learning, okay? At the end of the day, you can't say, well, I had a rubbish teacher. You were not a good learner if things don't go well. You should be able to get an HD even if you do have a rubbish teacher. Not that we've got any rubbish teachers. The material on Moodle. Now, in some parts of Alpha Crucis, you'll find that the material is modularized into, we do this in week 1, we do this in week 2, we do this in week 3. We don't in education. There are modules, there are chapters, if you like, there are lessons, whatever they're called, but they are just convenient parking places for material, for ideas. And the analogy I love to give people is, imagine yourself going through the shelves of Woolies on a shopping expedition, weekly shopping trip with your trolley. Supposing you didn't write a list of what you wanted, and supposing you don't know where things are in the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you systematically go through the shelves, up and down the aisles. Oh, I need to stop here. I need to get a whole bunch of this. I better put this in my trolley. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have loads of that. Yeah, I'll have that as well. And then you move on to a next aisle, and there's nothing. You don't need anything in the next aisle. You don't need anything in the next aisle. And then you need something in the next aisle. So depending on what you've got in your learning from life, you know, homeschooling, whatever you've done, Christian school, otherwise, whatever, you'll have different needs. And I don't want to presume to know what you need, because that's what you know. So go through the material on Moodle as if it's not necessarily everything you've got to read. Okay, now in this particular subject, there is loads of material, far more than you'd ever need. Far, far more. And don't forget, it was written for a semester, and now we're doing it in a term. So we're squashing. We've got to be selective. Now, I was going to share with you, share. Oh, yeah. I was going to share with you my screen. And here we are. I happen to be in the master's sheet, Moodle. Don't let that worry you. It's 99% the same. There's differences in the assignments, but we'll come to that. Okay. The subject outline is a crucial thing to become familiar with. Is this big enough for you to see? Or do you want me to make it bigger?
That's okay.
That's okay. The subject outline, become familiar with. All this stuff here is put onto all Moodles. It's general information, not specific to us. This is for our subject. You'll notice that Res 101E, what's that? Well, it's the same course, but it had a different code years ago. You may not want to necessarily dig into these videos if they're dated. Maybe 2019 semester 2 would be a good one. But then on the other hand, if you see a video with 3 stars, that's me saying, yeah, definitely worth having a look. Assessment cover sheet. I will land there for 30 seconds and just give you a rev up on the assessment cover sheet. That goes on all your essays, all your assignments, unless you're told otherwise. And please will everybody learn what a running header is. That's actually not a running header. It's in ordinary typeface with the right justification. But a running header is something that you put in and it appears on every page automatically. Are you familiar, Jacob, with running headers?
Yeah, normally you would double click the top of the page to put them in. Is that right?
There's different ways.
Okay, sure.
But you insert one, and it's a short little title with the page number.
With page number, okay.
Yeah, and it's top right justified, never left justified. And don't be tempted to do fancy formatting of the cover sheet. That's it. There are various things you do. Of course, you put in the title, you put in your name, student number, the code of the subject. And down here, you don't leave that. You basically delete that when you put in your plagiarism score. So these funny arrow things, you get rid of those when you enter the date you did the plagiarism quiz. And again, you don't need to sign it. You know, a JPEG or anything, you just need to type in your initials and the date of the submission. Okay?
Okay.
So that's pretty straightforward, I think. Now, I'll come back to the assignments in a minute, but I'll shut up and give you time to ask some questions. I'm very excited about the assignments. Slightly different wording for number 3 for you, but practically similar for number 4. Now, from lesson 1 onwards, incidentally, I've got editing on at the moment, and if I turn it off, this is what you see, And so to navigate around, you go to wherever you want to go to. And as I say, these are not related to weeks. They're not, they're topics. They're topics. And this simply navigates you around. But if I put editing on, which you can't, I can then see the whole kit and caboodle in a scroll down. So I just want to shush now when I finish here. The first thing I would love you to get into is lesson 2, APA 6 referencing system, plagiarism, referencing software, and all that stuff, the use of Turnitin. I would really encourage you to get working on APA 6. Have you used APA 6 referencing system at all, Jacob?
No, not prior to the plagiarism quiz.
Right. Well, every assignment you do from now on is going to end up with this style of referencing. And this particular one, how to reference in APA 6 from Western Sydney University, is by far the best one. Don't like the Western Sydney one, I like the Sydney University one. Jim, what have I done? Killed it. Where's the Sydney one? I'll have to, there, this one. Yeah?
Yep.
Fingers crossing. Yay! This is 18 pages. It's absolutely brilliant. The way it's set out, landscape, what you say in the text, what you say in the reference list at the end. You don't use footnotes. You don't use footnotes, not in APA 6. There is a place for it, and this document will talk about it, but it's exceedingly rare, and don't bother. The most important thing to remember is reference list at the end with the second line indented. And the italics like this and blah, blah, blah. These are the things to remember. It's an absolute brilliant document. Now I'm going to shut up for a second. And over to you. Shoot with any questions of anything I've said so far or anything else you want to ask.
Yeah, so you had there's about 12 lessons for this particular one. And that's what you're talking about with the shopping analogy, those lessons?
Well, yeah, within them. If you
Within
like,
them.
the lesson 1 would be aisle 1.
Yeah.
So within aisle 1, there's a whole bunch of different items on the shelves. So in lesson 1, well, let's take something a bit more chunky. Yeah, this is a real classic case. Lesson plans, study skill, blended learning, online learning. Number 5. Now, there may be things in there that, ooh, I've never heard of that. I would like to learn more about that. Or, yeah, I know about study skills. I've had it for years. I'm sick to death of people talking about study skills. I don't need to know about blended learning, so you think, or online learning, don't need, blah, blah, blah. You bypass it. It won't be particularly relevant to any of your assignments here and now. I can tell you that for now. But this particular lesson is going to be helpful to you in your study, doing all your subjects.
Okay.
So to what degree you stop and linger in here, it's up to you.
Yeah, and you've got the like the ones with the 3 stars afterward are the
Good ones to definitely have a look at.
Yeah, sure thing.
I think that, 15 habits of successful students. For a newbie like you, I would think, go for it. Brilliant. Yeah. Aidan Cowell. If that's how I'm pronouncing your name properly. I can't see you, but I can see your name. Bottom left-hand corner, can you find the microphone and unmute it? And the camera to delete it. Anyway, oh, here we go. Welcome.
Hey, how you guys going?
Hello.
How do I pronounce your name?
You were saying it correct before, yes.
Aidan Cowell.
Yep, just like that.
Okay. Now, what is that behind your head?
That's my window, so I'm just in my room at the moment.
Oh, is that a blind?
Yes, it is.
Ah. And I warn you, we are recording this, Aidan, for the benefit of others. So where are you?
I'm just in my room at the moment.
No. It's funny how you get that. Where is your room?
Oh, just at home. Just in Riverston, Sydney?
Oh, Riverston. Oh, Sydney.
Yeah, okay, that's where we are.
Okay, because there could be people from South Africa joining us.
Yeah, wonderful.
In which case, I would expect a black line because it'd be in the middle of the night. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. The sun would be up, yes, by now, I think, in South Africa. Anyway, Aidan, you're very welcome. We've recorded 20 minutes with so far, so
Thank you.
please go back and shoot. At the moment, I'm just having a pause for questions. This is Jacob from the Blue Mountains. Oh, Aidan, you're bachelor or master's?
So I'm in a bachelor.
Bachelor of?
Secondary education.
Oh, best. Very good. And I've never met an Aidan spelled like that before.
Yeah, not surprised. It's very uncommon spelling.
Very good. Okay, so we were just talking about how to use the material on Moodle, and I was using an analogy that it's a bit like lesson 5 is aisle 5 of Woolies, and within aisle 5 you might find some stuff you really want to spend time on. You don't have to eat everything. It would be ridiculous and very expensive. So, be selective, but certainly have a look on what's on every aisle. I wouldn't want you to say, "Oh, I don't need that," without having a look. So, yeah, there are lots of aisles. There's loads of material in the subject. Regard it as a resource to you, so that you come into some area of study. I bet you there's something in one of the lessons here. You get stuck on something. In fact, my cursor's just landed here. Speaking skills and voice control. The second assignment, I would say, if you're wondering where to focus your attention, really get stuck into that, because that is such an exciting assignment for me. You record yourself teaching a small group or your family or something, a 10-minute mini lesson. It's absolutely fascinating to watch how you do that. I can see so much from your body language, from your voice, your interaction with your students. Are you lecturing them, or are you getting them to do activities? Here's a hint for those who watch this video. It would be nice on that 10-minute video if your talk was 10% or 20%, sorry, and all your students was 80%. So don't, just because it's an oral presentation assignment, doesn't mean to say you've got to be talking 100% of the time. Just imagine you're in grade 5 or grade 7 or something, and you do that to your students. They're not going to get particularly inspired. I'm talking far too much on this video. That's another problem. Anyway, any more questions, and I'll have a pause. So have a little think about any questions, anything that's on your mind.
Really quick, with the lessons, I was wondering if we're just supposed to work that through however long it takes us, or if they're like time checkpoints we should be getting through each lesson by.
No, you need to listen to the video, last 20 minutes. I'll go back up to where you can see all the various tiles. These are resources. So I would expect you, as the weeks go by, but not in any particular systematic way, for you to have a look through every single tile.
Wonderful.
But there's no assessment on each of the tiles. There's no expectation that you're going to have to spend ages on them. You might know heaps already because of your background on Bloom's taxonomy and learning styles, in which case you won't spend very long on that. You just remind yourself. You may be an accomplished public speaker. You may be, preaching in church on Sunday, and you don't need to do much in the way of reading up on speaking skills. Well, don't spend much time there then. You may not have a clue about quantitative and qualitative research. Oh, better do some reading there. See, so it's entirely up to your needs how much time you spend on each of these lessons.
Wonderful.
And what I think I was saying before you just came on is early on, please work on the APA6 system. That's crucial for every single subject. Get into that subject, really interrogate that really, really well. You'll find getting that under your belt and not having to worry about it will be invaluable. Any other questions before we carry on?
I'm pretty good. I think I have some questions and stuff we'll probably talk about later on, so keep going.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, let's have a look at some assessments. Now, this is what I did is I moved the first effective journal on a week because of the rush of start, and we've still got students getting enrolled. So that used to read, I think, 2nd of February, but it's now the 9th, which is this Sunday. No, it may not have changed. Maybe it was 101, 401 that changed. Yeah, I think that was right. But look, this question, reflecting on being an undergraduate student, in your case, what are your goals and why are you studying this degree? First of all, think, okay, I've got to write about 300 words. If you write 250, that's fine. If you wrote 100, I think you've sold yourself short.
Mm-hmm.
If you write 400, you've wasted your time. And you're not going to get any penalizing from me. But the whole idea of a word count is so that you don't kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Sorry, that's 300 words for the, whoa. Sorry. Yeah, each initial form is, yeah. So when I explain initial form, that means your answer to that question.
Yes, okay.
300 words. It would be nice, doesn't have to, if you respond to other people's posts. So have a little skim read of what they're saying, and anything particular that leaps out at you, feel free to respond, but don't do more than 50 words. And you don't have to. You might be pressed for time, don't feel under any pressure. It's just, that's the only obligatory bit. The whole point of, I think this is a reflection. What's it feel like? Can you imagine, what did you imagine being an undergraduate student, postgraduate student would be like, and now you are one? Is it anything like what you imagined, or is it not like what you imagined? And what about your goals for studying this degree? In other words, why do you want to be a teacher? So, that can't be a sort of separate, nothing to do with the first part. Hopefully, the second part is related to the first part.
Yeah, sure.
And same with the others. They're very different questions as the term goes on. You'll notice that number 5 is a reflection on your oral assignment. So obviously you can't do that until you've done that. And hopefully, well, you'll have had the marks for it. So you can reflect on how you did. So here's the oral presentation. I often get questions about the 1,200 word equivalent or whatever it is for bachelors. I think there's slightly different numbers here. As I was saying earlier, it's a very, very brief segment of a hypothetical lesson. You can imagine yourself teaching in the future. You've got to be clear on what level you're going to be teaching. Now, if you're primary, if you're going to be teaching Kindy, you've got to watch very carefully what language you're going to use with Kindy. Or if you're going to teach Year 6, what's the language appropriate for Year 6? And same with your secondary aid. What curriculum? What topic? Title? What teaching strategy? What activities? Any assessment? Sources of any visual aids? I once saw one teacher do a fantastic science lesson with Year 7, 8 kids, and they were recycling plastic bottles. Now, the very fact of melting a plastic bottle in front of the kids was very exciting, and it was a very hands-on type of lesson. So, you know, be creative as you can in this assignment. It's a 10-minute presentation on a video which you upload. The link to, not the video. Please don't try and upload video to Google, but a link to. And don't get me all hung up with passwords or whatever. Seriously, I don't see why. The simplest one for me is to make it a YouTube clip and make it public. You don't have to put any tags in, so it's searchable. But hardly need it. You don't need to put a title. You don't need to mention any names. Just give me the link, and off we go. Okay. And if you're giving a lesson to some convicts, then maybe you'll need to get them to keep their face out of the shop. Or somebody's got a preservation order on them or something. Be sensitive. Anyway, I will just your questions. Any questions about reflecting forum or the oral presentation?
So with the oral presentation, would one of the potential lesson environments be able to be like in a youth, like say, would I be able to do that, say, part of like a lesson I would give it like a youth group, even though it's probably more of like a Sunday school kind of vibe? Or are we kind of trying to keep more towards a traditional classroom lessons?
Well, the thing is, you've got to be related to, in your case, New South Wales curriculum area. So,
like SRE?
Maths, well, I would, look, it's a very genuine question. I would probably encourage you to have a handful of kids, maybe 4 or 5, from your youth group, and say, come on, I need you to be stooges in my video. And we're going to do a Year 6 math lesson.
Yeah, okay.
No, don't try and do a religious studies thing with people who are not in a school, because they won't know. They'll get confused as to what hat you're wearing, and I think you might too.
Yeah.
But by all means, use some of your kids. Press gang them into being people in your class. Okay. Anything else on the oral? I'm feeling that I should go for another 10 minutes or 15. I don't want to go much longer. Okay? So bear that in mind. So I'm not saying I'm never going to answer any more questions about this, but this is just to get you going for now.
Yeah, nice.
Students should record their presentation in a quiet space. Now, I've known these come in with, they put their dog in the next room, but boy, was it loud. could hardly hear the teacher, you know. So be sensitive. Or in a room with the windows open on a hot day and the traffic outside. Ensure the camera shot is able to show the body language, yours, and your facial expressions. So don't put a camera, you know, 50 meters away from you, so we can't see your facial expression, can't see your body language. Right? These are all tips and tricks. And don't forget that we want to see your students and how engaged or otherwise they are. Okay, so they are important.
So
They are an important part of the video.
Sorry, would you prefer like a fixed camera or maybe someone filming moving around? Doesn't matter.
Oh, fixed. Don't go too fancy, please.
No, sure.
A fixed camera, but be sensible, strategic about where you put it.
Yeah.
And then when you've done it, you upload the cover sheet, and the next page will simply be your link, hyperlink. Now, lesson plan. So you've got to include a lesson plan with this assignment. So you put, you'll find some lesson plan rubrics on Moodle in various places, which we'll talk about. I'm not fussed about what format you have. It's dot points, it's table, it's, what is a lesson plan? Well, what do you want to do in those 10 minutes? And what resources are you going to use? It's not rocket science. It's like your crib sheet. Okay? And it says 1,200 words for the masters. Can't remember what it is for bachelors. But it's not crucial. Don't go stressing about it. The most important thing is this one. Now, for masters, I should actually, you're both bachelors, so let me go to the bachelor one. So term one. Oh, noise is off. What do we say? Who's got the dog? Is that Jacob?
It is my dog. She's outside, but it is thin walls.
Never mind. We're absolutely fine. Now, so if you go to assign assessments under the bachelor, well, look at that. Initial forum is 350 to 400 words. A bit more. Interesting. Very interesting. 105, yeah, 105. Cool. Anyway, oral presentation of that. Yeah, 1,000 words in the lesson plan. And reading reflections, or for the masters, it's a literature review. So you've got 2 readings here. Let me just land on this one for a moment. From Marzano and Pickering. The reason I'm doing this, you'll see in a second. That's bad APA 6. Bad because the second and subsequent line is not indented. So I reckon this is probably 2007. It's probably before to APA 6. It's probably APA 5th or something. You've got to do a referencing system that puts the second and subsequent line indented. And notice it's the journal that goes italics, plus the volume, but not the issue. Issue is not in italics. You don't have PP for page numbers, you just have it like that. Anyway, I digress. So you've got 2 papers to read, and you've got to reflect on those 2 papers and write up a thing. and it's really getting you how to get the best out of a reading. What was the main point? What information did you find surprising? Why? What did you find confusing? Why? There's no right wrong. It's just your write-up of these two papers, and they're all about homework, whether kids in school should have homework. So it's getting you into the mood of what's the evidence for having homework, what's the evidence for not having homework. Then the major assignment is you've got to write an argumentative essay, work out what one of those is. And it gives you the opportunities to practice your academic writing and research skills in an educational context. It's a two-sided argument, as in for homework or not. You're required to present your evidence from both sides of the debate, so you can't load everything in a biased way and say, I'm really, really passionately against homework, therefore the only things I'm going to quote are from no homework. But what will get you the best mark is if you can argue the case. And you have to come to a conclusion. What is your perspective? And justify why you believe what you believe. So, look, I'm going to shush now. I've worn my voice out and I haven't been talking for several months. Questions?
Is the major essay also based off those two readings and the other one, or would we include additional readings that we would
Yes.
actually also find?
Yeah, you should. I would suggest half a page of additional readings. Look, while I've got you both here, plus those watching online later, I need to mention to you EDU105 page. I hope you've got access to that. The Education Student page is absolutely vital. It's like the homeroom for everything we do. There's resources. There's more about the APA 6. Oh, sorry, Australian Professional Standards for Teachers. There is more about the APA 6 in here. There's all lesson plan templates. Just all manner of material. All sorts of stuff.
That's the lesson plan that we might use for the oral assignment? Yeah.
And this is the photo we had taken at the last graduation. These are, Lane. How can I forget her name? It's only been 6 months. Katie. Shania. Jacob. I've forgotten her name. Please don't listen to this recording. Stephen Brinton, Stephen Codrington, Stephen Fison. So the three Stephens and me. And in here, this is the main forum where anything that affects any student in education we put in here. There might be jobs, adverts, there might be enrollment instructions, Happy New Year, welcome to the semester, all sorts of amazing stuff. And you can see we've had loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of posts over the years. So that's that. More material and professional development days. But anyway, so there's loads of stuff in here as well. Look, I've rambled on far too much, I'm sorry. Sam R. Wing is joining us all. I think you might think he's not on Eastern Standard Time. Where is Sam? Is Sam in Queensland? Hello, Sam. No? Bottom left-hand corner, unmute your microphone. Unhide your camera. Anyway, while he's coming, Aidan, Jacob, any final questions, comments?
I did have a question. We haven't gone over this, but with the observational visits, which is part of the mandatory requirements, I'm just starting to get in touch with schools to ask permission for that. But in terms of when we go and do that, what's the actual outcome we should be hoping to achieve? What are we trying to, if we're taking notes, what are we specifically trying to be getting out of that experience?
Very good question. Thank you for the question about OVs. I thought on EdInfo we actually had a letter.
Yeah, there was a letter that which you have pre-written, sort of with like an explanation of what it is that we can give to the schools.
Yeah, where is it? It's somewhere. I can't remember where it is now. Anyway, look, going to schools typically 2 days per school, and try and get in as many little visits as you can early on, particularly this semester, if you can. What are you looking for? Well, I would say two outstanding things. What is the vibe of the school? So almost as soon as you get through the gate, you pick up the vibe of the school. It's conveyed by how the kids move around the school, how the kids address the people in reception, how the kids dress, how the teachers dress, what the cleanliness of the school is, what the gardens are like, whether the school doesn't mind if students make a mud path across garden bed. You know, all sorts of quirky things like that will just give you the vibe of the school. Friendly, warm, cold, clinical. What is the vibe of the school? And then when you get into a classroom, it's an immense privilege to watch a teacher in action. So pick it up. How they're using their voice. Is that something you'd want to model? Something you wouldn't? How do the teachers correct misbehaviors? How do the teachers handle conflict? What resources are the teachers using? How well prepared are they? You know, it's innumerable. It's hard to say what to look for. But in here, the professional experience program manual, and you go into observational visits. Hey, that's worked well. It is the student's responsibility to arrange these visits. Boom, boom. At any point during their candidature. Now, it says a bit more here. So have a read of this. I mean, put it this way. I'm 67. I trained to teach in 1974. In my day, I was required to do, I think, a fortnight's observation observation in a school near me before I went to uni.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that 2 weeks experience. It was in a middle school near where I lived. I'd never been in a school like it. It was so different from my own school. And it was open classroom. This is 1974. Some team teaching stuff was going on. It blew my mind. So your experience in the schools is going to be life-changing. So it's invaluable. And here's some more notes on what to look for. Write an observational journal. What's an observational journal, you ask? Well, you've got an answer to that as well. So, observational journal. Where's the OJs?
17.
Eh?
17.
How did you read that? So here, there's a whole bunch of, again, tips and tricks on what you might want to look for in a...
Oh, that's what I'm looking for, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a recipe. You don't have to follow every single one. It'll give you ideas. Sam, are you trying to say something?
No, just moving.
Oh, hello.
But it works.
Where are you, Sam? We can't see you. Ah, Sam.
I'm in a library in Brisbane, South Brisbane.
Oh, and I guess you didn't know about the time difference.
Oh, I didn't think about the time difference in February. That's a good point.
We caught you. Look, we've been recording this, so you better go back over everything we've done, okay?
Yeah, I'll go back to the beginning. After.
Yeah, now, Sam, have you got any burning questions? We're about to wrap this up.
No, not at the moment.
You
I'll
okay?
go back through to see what I missed. Yeah.
Oh, please go through it. Yeah, it's. I feel that. Well, Jacob in particular, and Aidan, who came a bit later. I want your feedback, but I feel that we've started and we're on the road. I think this has been an invaluable time of introduction. Oh, Clara, I bet she might be from Queensland. Clara Kotze. Oh no, you're South America, Africa.
Yes, South Africa.
Yes, welcome.
Yes.
What time is it with you?
It is now 11 in the morning.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We're just
oh no,
about
that's
to wrap
completely
up.
fine. Oh, I'm sorry. I was I still need to get used to translating the time zones.
Look, it's all been recorded, so I want you to go back over recordings.
Okay, thank you.
But look, Clara, just give us a bit of a sense, give us a little bit of a story about you and what you do.
Okay, so I'm currently in South Africa, but I was born in India and I've lived there all my life up until now. My parents are missionaries there, and I'm currently working at a school being a teacher's assistant. So running around and doing all the little errands and things like that. And it's really nice because I get a lot of experience that way. Yeah, and it's exciting.
Are you in school now?
Yes, at Eagle's Nest in South Africa.
And what's the town?
In Polokwane.
Okay.
Yeah, a few hours from Johannesburg.
Well, you're most welcome. It is wonderful to have you with us.
Yes, thank you.
No worries. Now, Sam,
Yes.
give us a bit of a taste of you.
Living in Brisbane, I've been studying a version of education since 2016. Last year I spent a whole year being a teacher aide for a flexi. which is like an alternate school program to find sort of employment and I think engage each person. And I got to do a reading program, one-on-one with people. That was really exciting.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. And Aidan, give us a thumbnail of your life.
So I graduated from high school 2 years ago, and in those 2 years, I've been a part of a Christian camping organization called Crusaders. They just run around Sydney. And now I'm transitioning into teaching because I feel like I didn't want to do that as a career, but I'm really excited to potentially teach.
Fantastic. Thank you. And finally, Jacob.
Yeah, so I went through high school up until year 10 and then did a horticulture apprenticeship. So we did growing all the plants for like Bunnings and Flower Power, all those sort of places. Moving into teaching was always going to be the plan since the beginning of that. So now it's just finally actually getting to start that.
Fantastic. Well, it's wonderful to meet you. Now, can I emphasize that your methods of communication, I would say that use the forum on each of your subjects for any question that you possibly feel might be relevant to somebody else. But if it's a personal question, you're ill or you've got a family commitment, please don't put that on the forum. Put it on an email to your lecturer. If your lecturers don't get back to you and they get busy, your fallback is to email your program director, Stephen Brinton for Bachelor, me for Masters, and we will then get on to the lecturer for you. If your program director doesn't get back to you, then feel free to leave a voicemail on our phone in our office. The number is on our emails. I would really encourage you not to use the messaging system on Moodle because we can't track it and I don't check it and I've got enough things to have to check without having to check that as well. So sorry to be a pain, but that's my that's how I like to work things. Look, going. Any questions? Any last minute questions? Who's got a burning question, Clara?
No, thank you.
All right. Anyone? Okay. Well, great to see you, and don't forget to have a rerun of that video. Fast forward if there's bits that are not relevant to you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.